Hey guys, RanterInShades here, exercise my first human rights vlog style. Now, I'm sure as you guys know, I'm in a band, and if you remember in my most recent Q&A, someone asked me about my band and revealed the name of the band. This led to some people in the comments asking me to make a video about my band, Gardens of Acadia, so I'm gonna do that in this video. Nothing wrong with a little self-promotion and free publicity, right? So before I begin here, I will warn you that this is gonna reveal my general location, and one of the reasons I've never talked about my band is because I'm very private about my personal life on YouTube. If I'm gonna talk about my band, I'm gonna lay down a couple ground rules, and you guys must follow them. The first rule is that there is to be no talk of my RanterInShades channel on any of our social media platforms, which will be linked in the description. The second is that I don't want you guys stalking me. That is a huge no-no in my book. With all that said, let's begin. So my band is called Gardens of Acadia. We're from Westchester, New York, and I am the lead guitarist in this band. We call our style progressive punk, which is basically a punk writing style with some progressive rock elements. Think Coheed and Cambria. They're probably the most prominent of our influences. Other influences of ours would include Bayside, Rush, and even Ultra Bridge to an extent. The other folks in this band are my good friend Justin Amrine on vocals and rhythm guitar, Brian Primrose on bass, and EJ Rios on drums, who is also part of a band called Atlantis Bound, who actually has an EP coming out soon. I originally met Justin in college since we're both music majors, so we became pretty quick friends. At the time, I was part of another band on campus called Barley Fever, which was put together by one of my roommates last year named Orion, and also featured my friend Kevin, the guy that does my intro music, on keyboard. I was on drums in this band, and we brought Justin in because we knew he was a very serious guitarist. After the one show we played at this campus event called Fall Fest in the fall of 2012, the band basically fell apart. Orion wanted to kick Kevin out because he was, quote, late and lazy. I stood in Kevin's defense because A, he's one of my best friends, and B, he's a genius when it comes to theory, so he's basically the ideal bandmate. Meanwhile, Evan, the bassist, walked out due to stylistic differences, and Justin just didn't give a shit. So we basically broke the band up. For the record, Orion's a good guy, but he was such a controlling douche who didn't let any of us have any say in songwriting or ideas for covers, and none of us were really all that comfortable with the avant-garde, experimental direction he wanted to take this band in. So this band breaking up was really for the best. Fast forward to January of 13, and Justin's telling me he's putting a new band together with another friend of ours on drums named Ethan. And he invited me to play guitar since he knew I was an insane player, and we jammed previously and threw some riffs together. At the time, it was just the three of us. We didn't have a bassist. The only show we played with Ethan in the band was my school's spring festival called Quad Jam. After that, we were all basically doing our own shit over the summer. And the name Gardens of Acadia, by the way, was a fusion of the two names Justin and Ethan wrote music under, Gardener and Acadia, to form Gardens of Acadia. So while I'm home in Boston last summer in 2013, Justin messages me with these plans to record a professional 3-song EP and wants me to join him. I got really excited because it looked like this band was actually going to go places. This recording wouldn't take place until the fall, but I was pumped. But upon coming back to school, I found out about all these problems Ethan's been having, namely his drug habits. And his parents wouldn't letting him come back to school, so he was pretty much kicked out of the band. So Justin and I had to scout out some people to bring in on drums and bass. I had a few people on campus in mind, but none of them could commit. Justin called up a friend of his who was still in high school named Sam to sit in on drums for our next show, which was the Fall Fest of that year, as well as our current bassist, Brian. We did eventually ask Sam if he wanted to be a full-time member, but he had way too busy of a schedule, which was too bad because I thought he was a great drummer. We got hooked up with EJ about a month later since he was a mutual friend of Justin's girlfriend, and thus the official Gardens of Acadia lineup was complete. Now let's talk about our EP. This took place in late October of 2013. What was going on was this recording process was only gonna be for 3 days, all of which were weekdays. So Justin was getting permission to miss school for this, but I wasn't. and Brian isn't in school, so he didn't need permission from anyone. I only went on the Wednesday of that week since I didn't have any classes that day, and I had one of the best times. The process was tedious as hell, but it was totally worth it. At the time, EJ wasn't in the band yet, and we weren't gonna pull Sam out of school to come with us, so Justin played all the drums on this. The studio that the three of us were making a trip out to was called Jesse Cannon Studios, located in Union City, New Jersey. Artists such as Saves the Day, Leftover Crack, The Dillinger Escape Plan, The Cure, The Misfits, Halifax, and Census Fail have all recorded at this studio. We were there a total of 10 hours that day. Most of those hours were spent waiting for Justin to finish completely redoing his parts for one of the songs using my guitar, since Jesse, the producer, really liked the sound it had. So Brian and I got to sleep a bit. Eventually I got to record my parts. I'm usually very quick when it comes to recording. I don't usually need to do more than one take. Like, if you listen to any of the songs I have on my Tom Moore Brock's music channel, almost all of those were done in one take. But the engineer, whose name is also Mike, insisted that I do multiple takes to ensure that I'm not hitting any weak notes, kind of like what I do with my videos. Needless to say, I'm very proud of the way the solos came out on the songs. Sure, I could have done a few small things differently, but for what they are, I'm proud of them. So there are 3 songs on this EP of ours called Enter the Gardens. The first song is called Man on the Moon, which is a really hard-hitting song with some killer guitar harmonies in the main riff. The song can best be described as a breakup song if you look at the lyrics on face value, but Justin has this comic book he's writing and in talks with getting published, where the music kind of complements the comic somehow. It's way too hard to explain since I don't really know much about his comic. This is something Coheed and Cambria are known for doing, which goes to show again how much of a major influence they are. Then there's Love Tells No Lies, the light ballad, which starts out acoustic and then kicks in at the chorus. Since recording this, I've grown such a fondness for the song. I've always imagined, while listening to the song, a music video featuring a man deep in thought about his woman, and fueled by desire, he just starts running. And the video is basically a montage of him just running, until he eventually gets to a woman's door, and a little proposal takes place. It's so sweet, and I would love if we filmed that one day. For that song, I actually played a Telecaster they had in the studio, since it has that certain sound to it. Also, during the second pre-chorus, Mike, the engineer, played a little lead part using an EBO, which was fucking cool. Finally, there's Midnight in Paris, which is our signature song. It's one of my favorites of ours that I just love playing. I love the production quality and the progression, and I'm very proud of the solo. Most people who listen to the song tell me it has such potential of being a big rock hit, and I would just love it if it one day were. One interesting fact about Midnight in Paris is that after the solo, when I do my little whammy squeal, my string broke, but you can't hear it break. That was the only take of that I did. It was awesome. Ever since those days, we've been playing a lot of shows around New York and New Jersey, making friends with a lot of bands on the scene, such as Bad Case of Big Mouth, who, by the way, just finished their album, and I cannot wait to put down money for it.
Shut up and take my money!
And continually building our audience. We're still playing lots of shows, and eventually we do plan on recording our first full-length album. Being in this band is something I take immense amounts of pride in doing. I love the music we're making, and these guys are essentially my best friends that I don't know what I'd do without. I wouldn't have the fun I'm having making music with any other band. So thank you guys. And thank you guys, the audience, for encouraging me to talk about my band and take that leap of faith, because you know how private I am. But honestly, self-promotion is needed, and what better place than here to do a little bit of that. So in the description of this video, I have linked our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube channel, our Bandcamp, our SoundCloud, and our business email. Our EP is also available on iTunes and Spotify. I highly recommend you check it out, and stay tuned for when we get to releasing more music. If you want to follow us, just remember those ground rules I laid down at the beginning of this video. Also, leave a comment if you're from New York. Who knows, maybe you might come to one of our shows. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope your curiosity has been intrigued and that you like what you hear. Take care, guys, and have a nice day. I'm Shades, and I'll see you next time.